Tonight, billionaire booted mineral resources boss Chris Ellison to step down over a tax scandal. A 21-year-old back on home soil, critically injured in a Bali motorbike crash. An inquest finally begins into the mystery disappearance of Lisa Govan, 25 years after she vanished in Kalgoorlie. Plus, the US election race too close to call in the final sprint to the finish. And the interest rates decision set to stop the nation. How close are we to a cut?
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Thomson.
Good evening. Mineral Resources billionaire boss Chris Ellison will step down after a tax probe into the WA mining company revealed he failed to disclose millions in overseas revenue. Reporter Ezra Holt is live in Osborne Park with the latest. Ezra, he's being forced to pay back millions.
Michael, we understand the billionaire mining CEO has been fined $8.8 billion after an investigation revealed serious corporate misconduct had occurred. The company's board today finding the chief executive had at times used company resources for his own personal benefit. Ellison allegedly ran a tax avoidance scheme in British Virgin Islands, with the board believing he ordered company staff to work on his boat and manage his personal finances. Ellison, one of WA's richest people, will now forfeit his salary along with incentives to the tune of $9.6 million. He'll step down within 18 months. The company's board releasing a statement saying there can be no doubt the actions, decisions and behaviours of Mr Ellison have been profoundly disappointing and require sanction and penalty. It comes as MinRes shares today fell nearly 10%. No doubt shareholders of the $7.5 billion company will be unimpressed at today's announcement. Michael.
Ezra, thank you. A 21-year-old Perth man is tonight fighting for life after a motorcycle accident in Bali. Dylan Brown is now back on home soil, touching down on an emergency flight home last night. He's in the intensive care unit at Royal Perth Hospital with life-threatening injuries requiring brain surgery. Dylan was on holidays in Bali when the crash happened. His family thankful for donations making surgery and the flight home possible, with more than $135,000 donated, including an anonymous $40,000 contribution. More than 2 decades after she vanished, an inquest has heard 2 men were arrested but never charged over Lisa Govan's mystery disappearance. The 28-year-old was last seen standing outside a Kalgoorlie clubhouse in 1999.
25 years since Lisa Govan was last seen, and her family still has no idea what happened to her.
We've missed all the big family parties, Christmases. She would have had children by now. We would have had grandchildren. So we've been robbed of a lot.
The 28-year-old was last seen alive around 7:30 a.m. on October 8, 1999. Witnesses say she socialised at Kalgoorlie's Safari nightclub until it closed. Seen in a laneway with Darrow's member Andrew Edhouse and his housemate Trevor Atkinson before going back to the Darrow's compound, her last known location.
We want to get answers for what's happened to Lisa, and we want to know why they did it, what promoted it to happen.
Today, a coronial inquest started to piece together Lisa Govan's movements. Tradesman Ross Edwards and his boss Kevin Smith stopped by the clubhouse the morning Lisa went missing. Edwards telling the court he left out detail in an initial police statement as he feared for his life. Later claiming Kevin Smith told him he saw Andrew Edhouse jump on top of a woman's head and that she wasn't moving. Kevin Smith's expected to take the stand on Wednesday. The coroner revealing this morning, though, they've been unable to locate Andrew Edhouse, who at one point was arrested on suspicion of Lisa Govan's murder, but never charged.
I'm disappointed. I'm very annoyed as well. I don't know if they would have given any evidence that we needed, but at least it would have been something.
Brittany Hoskins, 9 News.
A notorious WA pedophile is now back in the community after being granted bail. Bradley Pendragon, allegedly breached 2 of the 62 requirements of a supervision order. Prosecutors saying a magazine depicting teenagers was found in his living room, also accusing him of donating to a charity for children. The 64-year-old's lawyer arguing for bail as he's already spent more than 6 months in custody over these charges and is awaiting a trial over the alleged breaches next year. Andre Rebelo's internet search history has been revealed to a jury, showing the 28-year-old looked up aneurysm causes, inquests and coroners. The trial also hearing from the crypto trader's older brother, the executor of Colleen Rebelo's will, who thought something fraudulent was going on when their mum's mail had been redirected by the accused. The 58-year-old was found dead in her Bicton home in 2020, her cause of death unknown. Andre Rebelo denies killing his mother but has confessed to forging documents in a bid to get her life insurance payout. It is less than 24 hours until Election Day in the United States, and if most polls are to be believed, it's still anyone's race. Today it was a tale of 2 campaigns, a former president with a flashy flyover and a vice president delivering a message of faith.
This is campaigning in a way only Donald Trump knows how.
It's coming across the sky.
A flyby before flying into a new storm.
To get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much.
A dark closing argument in a 3-state blitz, speeches filled with unproven election claims.
Every rally
last night,
you don't have any seats that are empty.
He was caught out on crowd sizes.
Today, you missed a beauty.
Today, he issued a new warning if he wins.
It's going to be so much fun. It'll be nasty a little bit at times, and maybe at the beginning in particular.
Most polls indicate this race is still too close to call. There are long lines and more than 74 million people have voted already.
My ballot is on its way to California, and I'm going to trust the system that it will arrive there.
At Sunday service in Battleground, Michigan, Kamala Harris was praying Americans backed her.
I see a nation determined to turn the page on hatred and division.
Leaning on past presidents for campaign support.
We are ready for a president, Kamala Harris.
Before issuing her penultimate rallying cry in front of university students.
Our campaign has not been about being against something, it is about being for something.
Kamala Harris has had just over 100 days to run this campaign, but in a matter of hours, she could shatter America's highest class ceiling and become this country's first female president. Donald Trump could also make history, the first convicted felon to be commander-in-chief.
I mean, extremely about Donald Trump. I'm scared of him being president.
She's here for us and she is leading for us.
Kamala Harris will end her campaign with Lady Gaga, Oprah Winfrey and Ricky Martin. Donald Trump does things solo. Election day is close, many still wondering what comes next. In East Lansing, Michigan, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
And the impending election process will have implications for democracies around the world. Here's political editor Charles Croucher in the US.
Almost as remarkable as the record number of Americans that are pre-polling is how peaceful, how normal most of the voting has been so far. The FBI is tonight warning of fake videos being circulated on social media, created by foreign actors aimed to further fracture an already divided United States. There are isolated incidents of ballot drop boxes being set alight, and here in the capital, some businesses and monuments are being boarded up. Embassies have contingencies. But in this year of elections, with democracies still in the minority, America has an opportunity. A thumping turnout and a peaceful count will go a long way to rebuking the autocrats and calming the nerves of democracies worldwide.
And 9 News will have special coverage of the US presidential election from Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. The Today Show begins at 2 a.m, followed by a dedicated election bulletin from 7 a.m. Perth time. Explosive revelations today that Parliament has been raided by the corruption watchdog as part of an integrity probe. It came as Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton clashed over the Prime Minister's $16 billion bid to slash student debt.
Reaching for a handout.
There you go.
The Prime Minister zeroes in on his young political targets. Students lumbered with big university and TAFE debts. They'll be slashed by 20% under a $16 billion plunge on the next election.
Has anyone else worked out how much they'll save?
It's about $12,000.
Anthony Albanese revealing the policy at a high-octane weekend rally.
Incredibly irresponsible that essentially transfers student debt to other taxpayers.
A theme that continued in question time, suggesting the coalition will oppose slashing HEX debt.
When will the reckless spending stop?
There's not a single cost of living measure that those opposite are prepared to support.
The HEX policy was timed to give the PM clear air after the Qantas flight upgrade saga. But today it was Parliament itself at the centre of a controversy of a different kind.
The National Anti-Corruption Commission attended Parliament House on the 3rd of October.
6 days after the corruption watchdog raided Parliament, Department boss Rob Stefanik took leave on full pay while an investigation took place. He had a relationship with his deputy Kate Saunders, who took a taxpayer-funded incentive to retire payment worth $315,000. In May, when asked if the relationship was while he was Miss Saunders' boss...
I'll give you a simple answer, Senator, and that is no.
Today, when Mr Stefanik didn't appear...
What does DPS have to hide that you want to keep under suppression?
I have nothing to add.
Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
The Melbourne Cup won't be the only event stopping the nation tomorrow. The Reserve Bank will make its latest call on interest rates, and while millions of Australians are hoping a cut is coming, the odds are lengthening.
The race may stop the nation, but the life savings of millions of Australians are really riding on the RBA. If you were placing bets, tomorrow's meeting looks like this. A no-change decision is basically the unbackable favourite. The cash rate is almost universally expected to stay on hold at 4.35%, where it's now been for a year. A rate cut and a rate hike, both pretty much scratched. Most economists say there won't be a rate reduction until the February meeting, but several now wouldn't even be putting money on that because unemployment is still low and core inflation is still high. They say stressed borrowers could be waiting without a cut all next year.
In fact, the risk is, in my view, that if we're going to see rates move in the next 6 months, that move will be a tightening, that is a hike, not a cut.
Another hike would crush households, and while it's speculation, those concerns will weigh on next year's election. So while the RBA is unlikely to move interest rates tomorrow, what Michelle Bullock says and forecasts will be absolutely crucial.
The AFL is again in the middle of a Mad Monday offensive costume storm. This time, umpire Lee Howson stood down for 1 week after dressing up as Osama bin Laden for a private function the day after the grand final. He apologised after the AFL investigation, saying he made an error of judgment and never intended to offend anyone. The estranged wife of former AFL star Ricky Ollerenshaw claims he was the brains behind an illegal brothel in Bali. Neitha Ollerenshaw faced a Denpasar court today, insisting she's being framed for the operation.
The party is over at Flame Spa in Seminyak. But Neitha Ollerenshaw is still feeling the heat. After 2 months in a Balinese prison, today a court was told she is being set up. The fact is, our clients are merely workers who were exploited or used by foreigners to make a profit. Her lawyer claims one of those foreigners is her estranged husband, Ricky Ollerenshaw. The former Essendon player, one of 4 Australian investors in the Balinese spa, which police allege offered sex services to tourists. It was raided weeks after Ollerenshaw left the country. Lawyers for Neitha claim her husband was responsible for marketing and hiring staff. They say the pair separated and Neitha was then threatened by business partners to pay out dividends. She alleges one told her, "I have the backing of some very powerful people. We will put you in jail for sex trafficking and fraud."
Ricky Olorenshaw is not facing any charges and 9 News is not suggesting any wrongdoing. The pre-trial hearing in Denpasar will continue for 2 days before a judge hands down her decision next week. Meanwhile, Melbourne couple Michael and Linley Legrand are yet to face court. They too were accused of operating a Balinese spa offering prostitution services. Pink Palace was shut down on the same day as Flame Spa. 11 people in total have been arrested. Lana Murphy, 9 News.
Despite an increase in bulk billing over the past 12 months, West Australians are still shelling out more for a visit to the doctor than any other state. Reporter Conor McGovern breaks down the data.
Michael, the federal government tripled its incentives for GPs to bulk bill 12 months ago. And today, the Health Minister released new data showing that policy seems to be working. Across the country, the number of subsidised visits is up from record lows. This time last year, 68.4% of all trips to the doctor in WA were bulk billed. Today, that number is 70%. It's an increase, but not necessarily something to celebrate. In New South Wales, almost 82% of appointments were bulk billed, 78.2% in Victoria, and more than 3/4 in Queensland. The only other jurisdiction more out of pocket than WA, the ACT. Over the past 12 months, West Australians had 228,000 extra bulk billed visits than the year previous. The Albanese government has acknowledged there's still more work to do here in the West, more so than anywhere else. Michael.
The world's most renowned space agency has recruited Perth scientists in a mission to fight one of the biggest threats facing humanity, climate change. Curtin University now monitoring our ocean's health from space.
Scientists call this the Marinet, a marine optical network.
There are many parameters of the environment that can be followed from space now, including temperature and currents and winds.
5 years in the making, designing and testing this marine buoy off Rottnest, roughly as tall as a 4-storey building. To the naked eye, it's unassuming, but for scientists at NASA, it's the future. The buoy responsible for analysing the colour of the ocean using a sensor dubbed the spectrometer. The greener the colour, the more phytoplankton inside. Billions of tiny ocean plants producing more than half the world's oxygen and absorbing almost as much carbon dioxide as all of the Earth's plants combined.
So it's all about how the changes in climate and physical environment are impacting this phytoplankton.
The collected data sent more than 100 kilometres up in the atmosphere to satellites in space. Stable water conditions and blue skies making Rottnest Island the perfect location for the project. While it might seem like one small buoy, the project has the potential to be one giant leap for science. Professors from Curtin University joining forces with NASA and a number of American colleges in an international effort. That effort to fight climate change from our own backyard.
You need to know what's happening around you if you want to adapt and to try to predict at least what may happen in the next 10 or 20 years.
Bianca Carboni, 9 News.
Quincy Jones, the music titan behind Michael Jackson's Thriller album, has died at the age of 91. His family releasing a statement saying, although this is an incredible loss for our family, we celebrate the great life that he lived and know there will never be another like him. Jones also composed dozens of film scores and had multiple hits of his own. He died at his Los Angeles home, surrounded by his family. A partly cloudy Monday in Perth. Natalia Cooper, it was quite cool for November.
Yes, good evening to you, Tomo. The maximum temperature about 5 degrees cooler than the November average. Around 5:30 this morning, it dipped to 12.2 degrees. Our top was 21.9 around 10 to 11 this morning. Across the metro area today, Pearce was the warmest spot with 24.4. The Swan Valley hit 24.3 and the airport 23.3. 21.3 was the top in Mandurah. A cold front will bring us a couple of showers tomorrow morning. They'll be pretty light, although the hills should see the most. The showers easing by about lunchtime. I'll have your full forecast a little later this hour, Tomo.
Look forward to it. Natalia, thank you. Charges laid over a food delivery indecent assault. Next, the driver accused of a terrifying attack in our southern suburbs. Two WA crash survivors flying to Adelaide colliding with a truck on the Air Highway. Also ahead, Spain's King and Queen pelted with mud while visiting flood-impacted communities. And we head to the US county famous for picking presidents. A 41-year-old food delivery driver has been charged over an incident that allegedly saw him attempt to kiss a customer at a drop-off. It happened outside a home in Belia around 6 p.m. last night. A woman in her 20s says the driver grabbed her waist and kissed her without consent. Police allege the man reversed a Toyota Yaris into a fence before driving away. He'll appear before a magistrate later this month. Police are investigating a serious crash on the Nullarbor after a car and truck collided on the Air Highway in South Australia. A WA man and woman in their 20s were flown to Adelaide this morning with non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the truck, also from WA, wasn't injured in the crash and is assisting police with their investigations. Spain's King and Queen have had abuse and mud hurled at them during a tour of a flood-ravaged town. The angry mob called the King a murderer before more heavy rains smashed the country's northeast.
Water surging through streets, a terrifying scene for a country still reeling from floods across Valencia. This just a few hours north from last week's devastation. Only hours earlier, the country's king had arrived in the flood-ravaged region to offer support. What he got was searing anger. King Felipe, surrounded by bodyguards, trying to move through the furious crowds on the streets of Paiporta. Umbrellas shielding the monarch, not from the rain, but from the mud and rocks being hurled at him. His wife, Queen Letizia, also caught in the chaos, appeared emotional, her bodyguard's face bleeding. This town was one of the worst impacted by last week's flooding. Of the 217 reported killed, at least 60 lived here. Murderer, murderer, the crowd shouted. In the days after the disaster, the government has been accused of being too slow to provide aid. The warnings of the impending rain event too late, these people say. Spain's Prime Minister had been on the ground but was evacuated when things turned violent. The King chose to push on. Not everyone was hostile, some embracing their majesties with hugs, but the anger in this part of Spain is likely to remain long after the mud is gone. In London, Jessica Millward, 9 News.
If the road to the White House runs through the battleground of Pennsylvania, then a major stop is in Northampton County. Voters there have a remarkable track record of picking presidents, voting with the winning candidate all but 3 times in the past 100 years.
In Northeast America, the leaves are turning, and here it's president-picking season.
Trump, come on. Harris. Trump all the way. Don't like his delivery sometimes. Sometimes he has to zip it, but I think he's the right guy for what we need.
Whoever wins Pennsylvania will win the election.
Which way is it going to go?
Harris. If it's not Harris, oh my gosh, we're going to have 4 years of disaster, chaos, and just absolute garbage.
Northampton County has a long-running reputation. Since 1920, voters here have correctly chosen the president in all but 3 elections. At the Eastern weekend markets, it's a countdown to Election Day.
In Australia, on Election Day, we have democracy sausages. Are these democracy sausages?
These are democracy sausages.
It's going to be a tough one. It's a battle for both.
Pennsylvania is pivotal in the race to the White House. A prized swing state, it sealed Joe Biden's victory in 2020 and went red with Trump the election before that. In 48 hours' time, for both candidates, it's the quickest path to victory. The streets here in Eastern paint a really good picture of just how divided this county is. A Harris sign on one home, a Trump flag at the next. The question is, which way will this political bellwether swing? The result will be watched closely, but it's unlikely to come on election night. That's because in this state, the processing and counting of pre-polling votes doesn't begin until 7 a.m. on election day.
It's a little daunting, but we just have to realise democracy is something that we have to protect.
In Northampton County, Pennsylvania, Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
In the news ahead, the demolition a decade in the making. The new plans for Perth ghost tower and forgotten high-rise. Coldplay's frontman takes a tumble through the stage in Melbourne. Also tonight, a warning from Australia Post over the rise in dog attacks across our suburbs. And we're one-on-one with WA surfing legend Jack Robinson. That is next. It's the demolition a decade in the making. Highgate's abandoned Stirling Towers are being obliterated to make way for more than 100 apartments just for low-income renters.
In the heart of Highgate, half-century-old towers turned hollow for a $2.4 million demolition.
There's no doubt the community has wanted to see this vacant building gone. It really is a relic of its time.
12 stories, 79 apartments, once known as the Stirling Towers.
The idea of just a high-dense tower of social housing is something that we just don't do because we know it doesn't work.
They closed a decade ago, turning into a training ground for firefighters, a canvas for graffiti artists and a gallery for trespassers. Searching room after room until security shortened their stay.
Run.
Given the building's central location, workers aren't allowed to use explosives. They'll knock it down one story at a time, meaning the site won't be clear until at least February. 9 News can reveal what the new building will look like. 109 apartments in a 4-storey social, affordable and disability housing complex. Construction is due to start later next year. The cost and the builder to be confirmed.
There's obviously a significant amount of people on the social and affordable housing waitlist within the inner city, and this will go a long way to providing 1 and 2 bedroom accommodation predominantly, which is the main need in this type of area.
It's WA's first government-led build-to-rent project, meaning these apartments can't be bought. Aiming to help ease Perth's tight rental market, our vacancy rate just 1.6%.
It's an example of what we're trying to do to boost social and affordable rentals in Perth.
Bianca Carboni, 9 News.
An embarrassing moment for Coldplay frontman Chris Martin, his trip to Melbourne ending with a fall through the floor at Marvel Stadium. Martin stumbled into a trapdoor in the stage during their final show in town. But the show must go on, the British band honouring John Farnham with their own version of The Voice after he made a rare public appearance at the concert. Australia Post is making an urgent plea in the lead-up to Christmas. Rockingham, Nedlands, Geraldton and Bunbury recording the most dog attacks across WA in the last 6 months, prompting posties to urge owners to secure their pets.
Chased, attacked, thrown from their vehicles. For a postie, dangers come in all sizes and from all angles.
Over 26 years I've come across quite a variety of different dogs, little whippersnappers, which don't bother me too much. It's mainly the medium to large dogs where I become a little bit wary, a little bit anxious.
And he has good reason to be. Jamie was bitten by a dog while delivering a parcel last week.
Normally this dog's upstairs in the balcony barking away at me, but on this occasion he was behind the front door.
Nationally, more than 49 posties are attacked each week. Queensland recording the highest number of incidents, followed by New South Wales, Western Australia and Victoria. There are now calls for local councils to implement stronger measures against aggressive dogs, such as
high offences in a backyard. Sometimes there's additional training required that the owner has to take to show that they've done some dog training.
Australia Post has trialled a number of different techniques, from changing uniform colours to vehicles to try and prevent attacks.
it found it made little difference. It comes down to owners taking greater responsibility.
We're now delivering a lot more parcels than we ever have before, and when we have parcels, we come onto the property. The dogs are wired to protect their properties.
In the lead up to the busy Christmas period, the advice: always keep your dog secure, whether that's in a back garden or another room. Be mindful when opening your front door and keep your dog's leash and at a safe distance if you see a postal worker on the street.
At the end of the day, we all want to go home and enjoy our families.
Isabel Quinlan, 9 News.
West Aussie surfer Jack Robinson has made a rare trip home, this time with his Olympic silver medal in tow. But it's not just his career that's reached new heights. With his greatest achievement out of the water, that means even more than gold.
A rare trip home after a golden year.
As Jack Robinson of Australia now slots himself into the tube.
But this WA visit, Jack Robinson brings a touch of extra sparkle.
Every surf, every moment, like every thing has kind of led to that.
Jack Robinson from Australia.
The Margaret River product second on the podium in Tahiti at this year's Olympics. It's the best ever performance by an Australian surfer at the Games. But after a gruesome training incident, it's a feat that almost didn't happen, dominating despite the stitches in his foot.
Felt like I won 3 medals in the lead up to the final, just because it was all world champions and all really good competitors.
The podium finish, a cherry on top of one of his career best years. Crowned king of his home break for the second time earlier this year at the Margaret River Pro.
It's a victory lap. Jack Robinson wins at home.
It's a really hard event to win, and especially winning at home, I feel like it's really hard because there's so much pressure and everyone's really excited.
Currently ranked 4th in the world, Jack's riding waves professionally and personally. Welcoming his first child, baby boy Zen, at the end of last year, the 10-month-old and wife Julia by Jack's side for every tour.
If I can, share those moments with him and my wife Julia, that's the greatest thing in life for me.
Adapting to life as a new dad, all the while pushing for his first world title.
Just juggling everything is probably the hardest part, but it's definitely the most special thing, that's ever happened to me.
The Gage Roads part owner now taking some time for family and friends, but not for long.
I think it's going to be really interesting. I think, it's going to be a good year.
Erin Harwood, 9 News.
Still to come tonight, the revolutionary home security system stopping thieves in their tracks. 1 foot on your property and the whole neighbourhood is alerted. Find out how it works. Plus, we're on board a special mission to better protect some giants of the ocean. But first, Matthew Pavlich is here with Sport and Pav. The Aussie cricket summer has begun in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, it sure has, Tomo. It's been a thriller at the MCG, with the visitors making a remarkable comeback. Middle order madness as Pakistan punish a reckless run chase. Wet and wild, a last-minute scare for one smooth operator. And a magical move in the NFL as Philly fly past their opposition. Australia has survived a scare in its first one-dayer against Pakistan. Chasing just 204, the Aussies suffering a middle-order collapse, losing 3 for none. WA's Josh Inglis top scoring with 49 as skipper Pat Cummins steadied the ship, guiding the hosts to a narrow 2-wicket victory.
A new Aussie summer is here, but it's the same old Josh Inglis.
Oh, nicely. That's all the way.
The West Aussie coming in at 2 for 28, putting on an 85-run third-wicket partnership with Steve Smith before coming within arm's reach of 50.
Inglis departs one short of a half-century. Pakistan are hanging in the game.
The wickets tumbling late, the Aussies forced to fight for the target that seemed so achievable after restricting the opponents to 203. Mitchell Starc, as always, the barometer.
He gets the first of the summer for Australia. It's his 100th on home soil. As so often the way, Mitchell Starc, he sets the tone.
The veteran paceman taking 3 for 33.
Straight through him. Mitchell Starc knows how to get the job done, does get the job done, and entertaining.
Skipper Pat Cummins claiming 2 for 39.
The captain gets it done. They open the bowling together in combination, Starc and Cummins, and they come together to close out the innings.
In the Sheffield Shield, WA quick Brodie Couch's hat-trick dismantling Tasmania to lift the side to the top of the ladder.
And he's got it. He's got the hat-trick. Couch has got a hat-trick. Elliott's gone.
history at Ninja Stadium. Look at Brodie Couch, surrounded by his WA teammates.
Spinner Ashton Agar also taking 3 scalps to lead WA to win by an innings and 45 runs.
It's full toss, it's bowled and they're done. It's gone.
Erin Harwood, 9 News.
Dockers coach Lisa Webb is adamant her team can make a real dent in the AFLW Finals series ahead of their do-or-die clash against Essendon on Saturday. Webb confident Freo's best is good enough to match it with the competition's toughest sides.
You know, we have improved so much over this last 10 rounds, but so have Essendon. Obviously, they had a big injury early on in that game, and we won't shy away that, you know, they were 2 down early, so we'd want to be, you know, on our front foot this week.
The Dockers expecting defender Ash Brazel to be fit for their first appearance in the finals since 2022. Gai Waterhouse might have her fair share of supporters in tomorrow's Cup, but her son won't be one of them. Tom placing a whopping $133,000 bet today on Chris Waller's Buckaroo at the call of the card. Gai's sole hope, Just Fine, rated an outside chance at $34 for the win. It comes as Geelong Cup winner One Smooth Operator has suffered a scare in the lead-up to the Cup. The 7-year-old losing his footing at today's work at the beach, with hours now just ticking down until tomorrow's main race.
The frenzy of Flemington is seemingly a world away from the calm waters of Altona. But for Cup fancy One Smooth Operator, another unforeseen hiccup. This stumble sending a wave of concern throughout the camp. No harm done to the horse. His bad luck was last week, when a cut to one of his legs had vets giving him the once-over.
No, he's fine. He just pulled the shoe off and had a nick on his heel, and vets came out on Friday. And he never missed any work.
One Smooth Operator caught the eye of punters with a tearaway win in the Geelong Cup. For trainer Brian Ellison, it's a dream come true.
We never thought we'd get in. I sold the journey to Patrick and Andrea, and you won't experience anything like it.
Master trainer Chris Waller has no less than 5 runners in the Cup, and this might just be the pick of them. Buckaroo was among the cavalcade of horses at this morning's beach session, vying to go one better than his second place in the Caulfield Cup.
There's a lot of things behind the scenes that go in over a 3 or 200-day preparation. It's just slowly building towards these grand finals.
Tomorrow's Cup will see 4 female jockeys contest the race, among them Winona Costin.
It's just a childhood dream come true. Everything about it is just so special.
Her great-grandfather on her dad's side, Larry Wiggins, came second in 1951 on Akbar, while in 1974, her great-grandfather on her mum's side, Jack Wood, trained Captain Perry, who came third.
Yep, but I won't settle for second and third. I just want the win out there.
Trent East, 9 News.
Croatia have qualified for next month's United Cup here in Perth alongside a star-studded lineup including the US, Greece, Spain and Germany. Tournament director Stephen Farrow confident Croatia's addition only bolsters the high-calibre event.
They've got a great team that plays great tennis. Donna Vekic, Olympic silver medalist, Wimbledon semi-finalist this year. She loves playing this event. She's really excited about coming back, playing with Borna Coric as well. He's consistently been one of the top male players in the world.
The United Cup gets underway on December 27 at RAC Arena. In the Premier League, Tottenham has picked off another heavyweight rival, thrashing Aston Villa 4-1, trailing 1-0 at the break. Ange Postecoglou's half-time speech clearly hitting the right notes. Spurs with 4 unanswered goals.
So we've got extra gears in us, we'll keep going, and it's up to other teams to kind of hold on and try and match us in that area.
Chelsea is just holding on to its place in the top 4, drawing 1-1 with Manchester United. And Philadelphia Eagles running back Saquon Barkley has left NFL fans and commentators speechless with this remarkable play, hurtling backwards over a Jaguars defender to avoid being tackled. Barkley also scoring a crucial touchdown in Philly's 28-23 win over Jacksonville. Incredible play. He still got tackled, but that was remarkable athleticism.
Might see it in AFL soon.
Maybe.
Matthew, thank you. Westpac unveils a massive $7 billion profit. More details in Chris Coller's finance report next. Plus, the AI home security system beating thieves 1 foot on your property and the whole neighbourhood is alerted. And Natalia Cooper's showers are on the way tomorrow.
Yes, Tomo, but they shouldn't be too heavy, up to 2 millimetres to land in the gauge. All the details are coming up.
Westpac today announced a multi-billion-dollar profit, and overseas the world's most famous share market guru is dumping shares. Here's Chris Kohler.
Australia's third biggest lender today confirmed what we already know. Banks are making a lot of money. Westpac unveiled full-year cash profit of $7 billion, which is huge, but it's also down 3% on last year. The bank increased its cash buyback and announced a bigger dividend to keep shareholders happy today. The ASX rose slightly, with Telstra and Qantas helping push the index higher. And the Aussie dollar was also a little higher today, ahead of tomorrow's Reserve Bank decision, buying 66 US cents. And with the US election on Wednesday, financial markets are trying to figure out what to do. This is what Warren Buffett has been doing: selling shares and heading to the sidelines. Berkshire Hathaway's cash pile topped $300 billion for the first time ever. That is a clear sign the man, often considered the best investor of all time, thinks share markets will soon fall.
Let's take a look at the price of unleaded petrol across Perth. Tomorrow the average will be $1.57.3 a litre, but you can find it cheaper on Cannon Way in Greenwood, on Northlake Road in Southlake, and on Mayfield Drive in Brabham. Families are using AI-powered surveillance cameras to scare off would-be home invaders. The technology isn't cheap, but desperate homeowners say they don't have any other choice.
Masked and up to no good, but these wannabe intruders are about to get a fright of their own.
Get the hell out of there.
In a sad sign of the times, high-tech security cameras are becoming an expensive necessity for some, especially considering aggravated burglaries from young offenders have surged by close to 1,000% since 2015.
People have been investing in their security systems before even they purchase furniture for themselves.
Nicholas Kaskanis from Wyndham Vale spent $2,500 to install an 8-camera setup from Dawa Technology after an incident at his home.
Private land, no entry.
The 24/7 colour cameras specialise in what's called active deterrence. AI detects potential offenders and then blasts them.
Danger is on. Keep away.
They're basically going to move on to the next house where it's a lot easier to get into.
Users can also confront the potential intruders over the speaker system.
You have the capabilities of actually interacting, if you like, or tell them to get the hell out of your particular area.
Yes, the system could help scare off criminals, but could the alarm also be triggered by a wandering cat or possum? Answer, no. The technology is only supposed to pick up vehicles or humans on the property.
If there's something else, it will ignore it.
Customers pay the price for this level of surveillance. You can find cheaper and still effective DIY security tech at stores like Bunnings and JB Hi-Fi. But for Nicholas, the financial outlay was worth it.
I'm just so much more relaxed and comfortable in the house.
Reid Butler, 9 News.
An extended humpback whale migration season has come to an end. Scientists deployed tags on 10 whales off the Queensland coast and even managed to take samples of humpback whale waste, a rare occurrence in the region.
And it's very important because we can compare it with samples that we have from Antarctica, but also other regions from South Africa, and that will give us a good understanding about how important is that whale poo for the ocean.
4 whales had to be freed from shark nets. The mammals now continuing their migration towards Antarctica. Showers ahead. Natalia is back with all of your weather details right after this break.
Welcome back. A mostly sunny morning with a bit more cloud about this afternoon. Temperatures were below the November average. After a low overnight of 12 degrees, we climbed to an early top of 22. Right now here in the city, it is 17.8 degrees. To the charts, and a cold front will bring us a couple of showers tomorrow morning. They'll be pretty light, although the hills should see the most, and the showers are set to ease by around lunchtime. In other parts of our nation tomorrow, Brisbane will be partly cloudy and 32 degrees. A possible shower and 23 in Sydney. Melbourne is looking absolutely stunning for Cup Day, sunny and 26 degrees. Back in the north of our state, Kununurra are going for 41 degrees and Marble Bar 43. Newman and Port Hedland heading for 39 and Exmouth 37 degrees. Further south, it'll be cloudy in Geraldton and a possible shower for Jurien Bay, a shower or two at Bunbury and Augusta, and showers and windy in Albany. On the waters, westerly winds 15 to 20 knots, tending southwesterly in the middle of the day, seas to 1.5 metres, and swell to 2 metres. A shower or two across the metro area tomorrow. Joondalup expecting 22 degrees and Swanbourne and Mandurah are heading for 21. So the forecast for Perth, cloud increasing this evening. Tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a shower or two, most likely in the morning and early afternoon. Up to 2 millimetres could fall. 22 the top after it dips to 15 degrees tonight. Looking further ahead, a cloudy one for Wednesday, heading for just 21 degrees. Thursday will be mostly sunny and 23 after a cool low of 9 degrees. A possible morning shower on Friday and 25 the top. Saturday will be mostly sunny and 27 degrees. Nothing but sunshine and 27 on Sunday. And it's warming up next Monday, a sunny top of 29 degrees. So showers tomorrow, but they won't hang around for too long, Tomo. And doesn't the weekend look beautiful?
The weekend looks perfect. Natalia, thank you. That is 9 News for this Monday, November 4. Thanks for your company. Current Affair is next. Enjoy your evening. Good night.